Okay. All right. Welcome to our meeting this evening. It's 5:31. We're late. And we are meeting. It is the 27th of January, 2022. We are meeting in the boardroom on Legacy Campus, and it's fun to see people here. This is like the first time in a long time. Thank you all for coming. And we will start with our roll call.
Larry Jeppesen, board member.
Randall Bagley, board member.
Steve Norton, superintendent.
Roger Pulsifer, board member.
Terry Rhodes, board member.
Kathy Christiansen, board member.
Chris Corcoran, board member.
Jared Black, business administrator.
And Jeff Nielsen, board member, is excused. We will now have the pledge and mission statement led by Roger Pulsifer. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission is to educate students for success in a changing world.
Thank you, Roger. Moving on our agenda, we have our recognitions and Teachers of the Year. We didn't get to do this last year, so we are exceptionally happy to have you all here this year. Thank you so much for coming and giving us some of your time, some more of your time. First, we would like to recognize Erin McNeil from Heritage Elementary. She teaches 5th grade, and Lance Robbins, her principal, will be presenting.
Get that.
Thank you, Superintendent. Congratulations. Right. Board and everyone here tonight, thank you for being here. I hope you don't mind if I refer to some notes. My mind isn't as keen as it should be this late at night. This is Erin McNeil. Erin McNeil has been with us for going on 3 years now, and just an absolutely a phenomenal person. Part of this I'll tell you a little bit, but she beats me to work. And it's amazing. We got this car that was parked at our parking lot for about 2 weeks. It's a new Mustang. It's electric. And I'm wondering, whose car is that, and why would they leave it in the parking lot? But finally I got word that it was Erin's, and so I don't know how you do it, but it's amazing. In talking to some of the kids in our class, we came up with this, what a teacher is. T, teacher, one who cares and loves teaching children. E, excellent at teaching, reading, writing, the love of math, and instilling the desire to love learning. A, always there for the kids and their parents. C, cherishing every moment in the classroom. H, helping every student along the way, ensuring they are the most important child in the world. E, energy, meeting or matching the energy of the children she serves every day. R, relentless, being the first to work and the last to leave so that every T is crossed and every I.
This is the other mic here. I can turn the sound down.
I want to say that she's a mom, she's a wife, and I'm just so proud of her and her family, and I thank you to your family for all they do. If you're away from them, you're serving all of us, so thank you.
Hey, we got to have a picture. Oh, all of you get together. Go to the center of the room. Thank you.
Would Mrs. McNeil's family and friends who are here to support her please stand?
Testing.
Thank you so much for giving us your mom and wife.
Kill that sucker.
As soon as the soup figures out his technology.
All right, we got it.
we will move on to Lewiston Elementary. Their teacher of the year is Mandy Sig, who teaches art there. And this will be presented by Principal Leslie Burt. You're on Lewiston.
I'm Lewiston. Oh, it's all Lincoln's not here.
No.
I'll sit there for a minute.
Okay, let's try it.
It's not working.
Hold it.
Is it working?
Yes.
Okay. So Mandy Sig is our art teacher. So what better way to talk about her than to show some of her work? So I'm going to have them hold this up. So Mandy is amazing and creative, and our school is so much better because of her. And she wrote a grant a few years ago, and one of the projects was each grade level created a quilt, and each student in that grade level created a block for the quilt using different art techniques. This is the most recent one completed for 6th grade, and she always puts a description in the hall when these are hung into the hall. And this is what she said: the cozy moon. These 6th graders have been learning about the solar system and the moon. Through the studies of motion of the moon, they were inspired to use a bleaching stencil technique to capture a moment of the moon. Some moments are fanciful and others are realistic. And then she put this together and got someone in the community, I'm not sure who, helped do all the quilting on it, and then now these are displayed. So we now have a quilt for every grade level in our school using different techniques. So, I mean, you can just look at that and recognize a little bit of the creativity that we get to have fill our halls. It is just absolutely amazing. But beyond just her artistic ability and her ability to work so closely with the teachers, she's always asking about, what are you working on? How can we support that through art? She is just a ray of sunshine in our school. You will not find a more positive person who is always smiling and happy and upbeat and what can I do and how can I help and just pitches right in. She was definitely one of the best things I found my first year as a principal, and I take credit for her now, but she came the way she was. So we are so grateful and so pleased, and it was by a landslide that students, parents, and teachers recommended her to be our Lewiston Teacher of the Year this year. So it is a well-deserved honor. So thank you so much, Nettie. Oh, they don't want to be in it. What do we need? Go a little bit this way. Towards me. Thank you.
Turn the quilt around so we can see.
I turn it around so the board members can see the picture. Here, what do you guys?
Oh, wow, look at that.
She's probably wondering why the walls look blank, because this afternoon I went and took it down.
Beautiful. Can we have everyone who's here with Mrs. Sig please stand? Thank you. Next, we will recognize the Teacher of the Year from Summit Elementary, Mindy Daly, who teaches kindergarten, and Amy McNeil, principal at Summit, will be presenting that.
Okay, I am really excited to have Mindy represent Summit Elementary for our Teacher of the Year. And I want to give just a little bit of background about her so you know more about Mindy. She is from Cache Valley. However, she spent most of her childhood in Pocatello, Idaho. And she graduated from Idaho State University. She taught for 2 years at the laboratory school at ISU. After she graduated, then she took a break to raise her family. This is her 14th year teaching and her 12th year at Summit Elementary. So we've been really lucky to have her for such a long time. Well, for everyone, for my 3 years. I'm glad that you've been there. She has 5 children and 1 granddaughter, and her family loves spending time together outdoors. And this is quite an impressive list that she has given. They love boating, camping, and playing games. She enjoys cooking, sewing, swimming, running, mowing the lawn, paddleboarding, wake surfing, and mountain biking with her husband. So she is very well-rounded. Mindy is a remarkable person, and I think everyone who knows her and who has met her would say the same thing. She is very gracious and giving, and she's kind. Whether you're a student, a parent, or a colleague, you feel special when you're around her. The compliments just come naturally from her. She works hard. She goes way above and beyond what's expected of her, and she has a positive mindset that's contagious. She enters a room, and you can't help but be positive and feel better about yourself and about your day. These are just a few phrases that I hear from her often, and if I miss any, you guys let me know. Hello, friend, every day. And I hear it multiple times. Everyone that she meets, it's hello, friend. Thank you. I can't count how many times she says thank you in a day. You're the best. I hear her say that to many people throughout the day. And probably what I hear the most from her, for me, is what can I do for you? And here she's a kindergarten teacher. It's been a very challenging year. And she still comes to me as an administrator, and she asks me what she can do to help me. And so that just gives you a little piece of what Mindy is like. I have a couple of comments that have been given from her colleagues. Mindy is an outstanding teacher. She puts in so much time to help each child that enters her classroom to become successful. They each know they are loved, encouraged to work hard and succeed in kindergarten. She is such a kind and caring educator. And another colleague said, such an amazing and patient kindergarten teacher. All her students just love her. When I go to her classroom to help with reading groups, she is always welcoming with a warm and welcoming smile. So we are fortunate to have Mindy at our school with us, and we are really proud to be able to have her represent us as a school. So very deserving. Congratulations.
Handshake. Congratulations.
Thank you. Can we have everyone who's here supporting Mindy please stand? Next, we have from Ridgeline High School, teacher Joseph Johnson, who teaches CTE classes. His award will be presented by Doug Snow, the principal at Ridgeline.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thanks. So this is my first year at Ridgeline, and actually I had never met Joseph, and then on the last day of school, some adjustments were made, and talking to some people at the school, we wanted to bring some of the kids together, so we planned a leadership retreat for our students and just needed some help. And I made one text to Joe, and those kids showed up. They helped plan it. They ran it, and it was just, to me, it goes to the relationship that he was able to build, that on a moment's notice to gather those kids together and pull off this amazing retreat with the kids just speaks volume. I do want to introduce, Joseph has his family, his wife Angeline, and his 2 boys, Benson, who is 7, and Hudson, who is 4. Hudson back there. And then we have members of our student council. So besides being an excellent classroom teacher, Joe teaches business classes. He's over our student council. So he spends hours at the school, and I mean hours, weekends, nights. I want to read just some of the comments from some of the staff, talking about how much they love his attitude, how much he does for Ridgeline, that it's evident that he is passionate about his subjects, cares for his students, supports the student council, and that how often they see his car at the school on weekends and late at night. From some of the students, talk about how he's positive, his energy level, always has a smile. But my favorite student comment was one student, "When I grow up, I want to be just like Joe." That is awesome. Then from one of his colleagues in his business department, he'll know who this is. I asked this person to write something. This is a great comment. He said, "Joseph Johnson leaves a lasting impact on students. His curriculum challenges students to engage in coursework with real-world scenarios. As a result, students leave his class with memorable lessons learned and skills to last a lifetime. He achieves results by embracing change, networking, and implementing data into his instructional decisions. He excels by all measurable metrics. His students consistently score in the top 10% on the state skills exam. He has mentored FBLA students to compete at the national level, helped students place in the statewide stock market game, and helped dozens of students find internships, qualify for scholarships, and excel in leadership positions." And that's quite a statement, but this is the best statement. He models the best intentions of education within our district: exemplary dedication to principles, vigilant professionalism, and the tenacity of a junkyard dog lie at the heart of his immeasurable positive impact. So one of our teachers, business teachers, but they should be like an English teacher. This is fantastic. So anyway, I just so appreciate Joe. When I go down the hall between classes, he and his colleagues, there's just loud laughter up and down the hall all day long. And I know the student council kids appreciate him, and I so appreciate them for being here and supporting, and also our two assistants, Andy Lunn and Deanna Stallings. And we love Joe, and he is well deserving, so congratulations.
You know what hasn't taken place tonight? We haven't handed the mic to the teachers. And you're not going to get away with it. I don't know if I can get the others up here. But let's hear your words.
I'm just so grateful to work with our administration, past and our current administration. They are truly examples of what educators should be. And the support that they give us is everything. I'm so grateful to be a teacher in this district and to have the opportunity to sit in the classroom with the students that we have. That's where the joy comes from, and what it's really worth it is sitting with them each and every day and seeing what they do and what they can do. And they probably teach me more than I teach them. And I'm just so grateful for this career and for the fun that I get to have each and every day being a teacher, especially at Ridgeline High School.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have everyone who's here supporting Joe please stand?
And I guess we'll let Joe speak for everybody, or is there anybody who would like to have this mic? Sure? Going once? Going twice? 3 times? Okay.
Soup, you wouldn't make a very good auctioneer. That's the end of our recognitions for this evening. Thank you all for coming. And if you want to exit before the business part of our meeting, now is the time. Otherwise, you're welcome to stay.
Why have we got to have those guys speak?
Okay, moving on in our agenda. Next up is public input, which Jared reports there is no one signed up for public input. So we'll move on to the consent agenda, and I will take a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the consent agenda that is printed, and I will now take a vote.
Okay, voting is closed and the motion passes.
Thank you. The consent agenda has been approved. We'll next move to our action agenda. The first item on the action agenda is a request for approval of federal time and effort requirements for ESSA. And Robin Clement is not here, but she presented last meeting for this. Does anyone have any questions about this that you remember? All right, I'll take a motion to approve the federal time and effort requirements for ESSA for Cache County School District.
I make a motion to approve the federal time and effort requirements, ESSA.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the federal time and effort requirements written by Cache County School District for ESSA. We'll vote.
Voting is closed and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. The federal time and effort requirements for Cache County School District in ESSA can move forward with Robin Clement and whoever else needs to do that. Next on our action agenda is a request for approval of the School Land Trust Plan Amendment for Lincoln Elementary. You don't look like Principal McCall.
No, she sends her apologies. They have a parent meeting tonight at her school, and she asked that I step in.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Gary Thomas on the Lincoln School Land Trust Plan Amendment? All right, I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the land trust amendment for Lincoln Elementary.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the School Land Trust Plan Amendment for Lincoln Elementary. All in favor, please vote.
I kind of want to be out in the hall. Doesn't
Yeah,
it sound like more fun?
Still out there entertaining.
Voting is closed and the motion passes unanimously.
I move that we join that party.
Yeah. And thank you. The School Land Trust Plan Amendment for Lincoln Elementary has been approved, and we will, they can move forward with that. Next up, we have a request for approval of the School Land Trust Plan Amendment for Wellsville Elementary, and presented by Principal Glenn Harris.
I'm glad to be here. Look forward to seeing you pass our amendment. But if you have any questions, any other questions, I'll be happy to
Anybody
answer
have
those.
questions for Principal Harris? It seems pretty straightforward last time you were here. Thanks for coming back again.
Thank you.
I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the land trust amendment for Wellsville Elementary.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the School Land Trust Plan Amendment for Wellsville Elementary. All in favor, please vote.
Voting is closed and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The request for approval of the School Land Trust Plan amendment for Wellsville Elementary has been passed unanimously, and you can move forward with that amendment plan. Next up on the action agenda is a request for approval of the positive behavior plan presented by Kurt Jenkins and Alden Jack.
Right. It's not as riveting as what's going on out there, but we'll do our best. So this year, USBE created the positive behavior plans out of Statute 53G 10407, which came out of substance abuse funds. It was in, that money was actually in the working for at least 3 or 4 years, but the fact that it became a positive behavior plan was kind of a surprise to everybody. But anyway, by board rule, every school has to have a board approval for their plan. So essentially we made a template for all of the schools. Elementary had a little bit extra that they added to their requirements for that. And then we just asked the schools to submit their plans, what they were going to do, supplies, and for a individual to run whatever, a stipend for somebody to run that. So that's what we're doing, is seeking approval.
Anyone have questions for Alden or Kurt? I have one question. So this is one more plan that the principals have to write in a year, in addition to everything else.
You are correct. So when we put the plan together, we tried to make it as easy as possible. As you saw, those plans were pretty much formed out of a template to help them out. So, yeah,
I
and
felt really
for
bad
a minimal amount.
I felt bad for the principals who put a lot of effort into it and wrote lots of stuff about their plans, because I thought the ones who wrote a couple of lines are still going to get approved too. So they could have saved themselves a lot of work. So maybe we should tell them
self,
that.
Right?
Maybe we should tell them that.
Okay.
Don't write more than a couple lines, because the school board has to read them all.
Yep.
And you don't want to write it, and we don't want to read it, because we know that you're all doing your best.
Yes.
Okay.
So do they have to do it every year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It may be the same plan for next year, so.
It'll be easier.
Yeah, it'll be easier.
Next year.
Okay. I will take a motion for the request for approval of the positive behavior plan for Cache County School District.
I move that we approve the positive behavior plan for the Cache County School District.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the positive behavior plan for the Cache County Schools. We will vote.
Voting is closed and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. You can move forward with the positive behavior plan.
Thank
for
you
all
very
the
much. I told you it'd be riveting.
Oh, next up is really riveting. Request for approval of the 2022-23 school year calendar presented by Mike Lichty. Any questions on this?
Any questions on what being presented?
Yeah, why didn't we do this a few years ago?
We're just trying to protect the instructional days, and our teachers weren't really asking for it. And this is the first time that they've really started asking for a little more time, and this gives us a little more time.
Excellent. Okay. If no one else has questions, I will take a motion for approval of the 2022-23 school year calendar.
Question?
Yep.
Does everybody know that they're going to have those days next year? Has it not been presented to the teachers? And
It's been presented, through the committee, and then they were the ones who agreed on it, and they were getting back to their groups.
I just get comments still this
Yeah.
last month about, oh, we need more time for all of these.
Yeah,
What is it? They have to watch the trainings.
all the
They have to
different
watch.
trainings and everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I think they'll be happy about that.
Hopefully, that's one more thing cutting into their instructional time, though.
Yep, it is.
All right, I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the school calendar for the 22-23 school year.
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the proposed 2022-23 school year calendar as printed with the updates. All in favor, please vote.
Voting is closed and the motion passes unanimously.
Put that out on the
Yeah,
district.
Genda will get it all finalized now and then get it on the web.
Okay, because I had some people ask for it, so.
Yep.
Thank you so much for your work on that. All right, moving on, we are to the reports agenda section. And the first is the monthly financial report for November. We're behind a bit. Mr. Black.
We are behind. This normally would have been given in the December meeting, which we didn't have. And then I'd probably usually give the December report right now as well. But with staff having been out of the office for health reasons, etc., we're just finishing up that December report this week. But we should have the December and January reports ready for our February 17th meeting. So, speaking of riveting, the financial report always is. Tried to come up with a few things to say about November that would be helpful. So, one of the things that we start to see in November is some of our property taxes for the year start to come in. So, we recognize some of those revenues. December is when the majority of those revenues come in, so we'll see that next month. We also start to see mid-year updates from USBE with our programs and some of that funding, so we put those adjustments into the budget. We did have an extra payroll run in November for the holiday supplement, so that factors into our finances for the month. One thing I've noted throughout the year is that if you look at our investment portfolio and the interest earnings that we're generating this year, it's quite low compared to a normal year just with how interest is right now. Fortunately, we don't really target any specific expenditures to those revenue earnings, so it doesn't affect our overall budget, but those are low for the year. Just tracking our receipts and our expenses to date in November, we have received approximately $71 million as a district and expended about $68 million. So those are tracking well and normal for that period of the year. So that's what I'd like to report, unless there are any questions.
All right, anyone have questions? I had one, but I can't remember what it is now. Oh, well, I'll remember next time, I guess. Oh, so on the revenue page, so the first page, we show that we do have foreign exchange students. I didn't know that we had. I remember we talked about foreign exchange students coming or not coming, but I didn't remember what we decided. So we do have foreign exchange students this year.
Yeah, they're funded by the state, and we try to keep that to that number, because if we don't, then we don't get funding for them. But I don't know exactly what the number is. Tim or Mike, do you know how many you're?
Well, and I think we have more than originally anticipated, because the number on here is about 22,000 for
Right.
foreign exchange, and we got a update in January that's around 75,000. So we're actually getting more foreign exchange money.
So do we have, how many, does anyone know how many students we have?
It's typically one at each of our secondary schools, at least 1 to 2, but Kurt adjusts that depending on demand a little bit, that tries not to overcommit as well.
Okay.
He would have that number, and we can get that.
All right. Okay. That was my only question. Thank you for that riveting report, Jared. We appreciate that.
I don't appreciate her sarcasm. I thought it was riveting.
Wait until we get to the statistical report, Chris.
Now you got me.
Statistics. Yeah, that'll pull him
Speaking
in
my
really
language.
quick. We appreciate that our financial records are in very good hands. Thank you, Jared. Number 2 on our reports agenda will be presented by Mike Lichty, the annual the CTE, Career and Technical Education Audit Report and Safety Plan.
Yeah, typically I wouldn't have really brought this information to the board, but part of what was required through the audit is a safety plan has to be approved by the LEA. But this last fall, and Tim was involved in it with me, we had an extensive CTE audit from the state office, and our district has a very large and productive CTE program. So they had lots of things to look at, lots of programs and teachers to talk to. And our report came back very, very positive. And you know, I thought I had actually added the actual audit letter to board docs, but it doesn't look like I did. But we do have some here. I could have somebody copy them quick and give you a copy. But I just wanted to. There was 2 things. There are a lot of commendations, but that's not the point. The point is there was a couple of recommendations that we need to respond to in our CTE program, and one was to have a more formalized 3 to 5 year plan. Not that we have to have it approved by the board, but we all have a 3 to 5 year plan. It's informal, but they want all the districts to kind of put it in a formal type of a plan and then submit it to the state. And we have a copy of that, and I attached that in there to 3 to 5 year plan. So that's the formal one that we'll actually submit to the state. And Tim put that one together. And it's just really formalizing what we've always been doing. And I called up some of my fellow districts who went through the audit, and they all got, they were all asked to do the same thing. Would you please formalize your 3 to 5 year plan? And I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but so we'll do it. The second thing that they wanted us to do was to submit and have in place an LEA-approved CTE-specific annual safety plan. This is the one that has to be approved by the board. Not that it's a policy, but that the board is aware of it and approved, and we will actually put it into our guidelines is where we'll put it. And what I need to, the components that are going into that plan, there's 3 different things. The first one is the state has to actually put together a safety plan. This is the one the state's been working on for 2 years. It's not official yet, but it will be official probably in July of 2022. So that kind of tells you why most of the districts don't have a formal safety plan in place, because the state hasn't had one. So not only are they critiquing themselves, now they're pushing the districts to get a safety plan in place. So I have enclosed a copy of the state safety plan. And then we are required to put together now the district safety plan, and that's in your board docs. And this is a copy of the plan here. It shows a schedule of different inspections that will take place at schools every year. And we're mainly talking the CTE classrooms. that have safety issues, labs, our wood shop areas, our metal shop areas, those types of things. And so this plan here is coming right out of that. That's where it's coming from. But this one details when the inspections will take place and who will actually be part of the inspection team on it. So that we'll formalize that and we'll start that process. And we actually put in the plan here that we would start them even this year. And if you look on there, you can see our schedule is to go to Green Canyon and Cache High this year. The reason why we picked those two schools is because we know we're not going to have any safety problems. We'll go there and start the inspections and proceed from there with our other schools as we start going through the plan. And then the third part is there's the actual checklist that we'll use when the inspections take place. So it's no secret to the teachers when we come in what we're looking for. And we're asking the teachers every year to do this, to fill out this checklist. The formal walkthrough and inspection by the district team will take place about every 4 to 5 years. Okay? This will happen every year by the instructor. And then as they go through this and they identify things that are out of compliance according to this checklist, and this checklist is all referenced in these two plans, then that identifies you got to spend some CTE money to correct that safety issue because you weren't able to say yes in that checklist. Okay? So that's the plan that we're going to submit to the state. And I'm not asking the board to approve this tonight, so I'm just giving you the first exposure to it. Then I'll come back at a board meeting when you take action again and ask you for approval. And then we'll submit both this and the 3 to 5 year plan to the state. And then we've met the requirements of what the state wanted back from us through the audit.
So what we'll be voting on when you come back is the safety plan?
Yes,
is that right?
The safety plan.
Okay,
those 3 components of the safety plan.
The 3 to 5 year plan we don't vote on.
No. But you can see a copy of it there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, I'm really intrigued by number 3 on the 3 to 5 year plan, the one about building our own teacher program at the high schools. And is that already in place?
Well, we have a CTE program that is funded by the state with add-on CTE funds. That's a teacher preparation type of a program. And we've tried to implement the last couple years in our district, and we just can't get students interested in taking that class. We do have some students taking concurrent enrollment classes in, what's the name of the class, Tim? The TEAL class up at USU, and it's future teachers, teacher preparation. We have a few students in that. But the state would like us to even go farther with that and get students actually involved in a CTE class that starts growing your own educators on it. Other districts are being quite successful with that. But for some reason up here, we have not been able to get enough students to register to run those classes at this point. So that's why we've put it in as a focus to try to get that going.
We have 2 programs that Mike started, and they're quite innovative in the state. One is an early morning robotics program, a 0 hour. The other one's an after-school IT program in information technology, and those have been running for quite a few years. The robotics longer than the other one, but we 2 years ago we got in 2 interns, 2 high school interns we funded to come to the district office and work the summer with us. One of them was so good that we kept him on for the school year. He then blew us away on how good he was in that role. We've now hired him full-time. He runs our tech bench, and just a phenomenal mind on this young man. And he's, but came through
kind of a grow your own, and not as a teacher necessarily, but he's in our IT department doing a great job. And he's the second one of those, first intern, second person that we've grown under our own program. And then we grew a college intern that's working for us full time right now too, that came out of the information systems program up at the university, and that's working great too. So
is the first young man that you were talking about, is he still a student here?
he graduated from one of our high schools.
Right.
No,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, so he's a full-time employee working on the side. One of the other interns who actually worked for us full-time while he went through and got his degree at the university. Second one finished or came on as an unpaid intern and worked his way into a full-time position. So, and we started doing interns about 8 years ago, and they started with the university, and the one I started with is the first one we took straight out of high school.
Wow.
So
Impressive.
Mike, I had kind of a wonder. Who teaches the CTE classes? Are they qualified for this, or they teach something else and they're given this job and trained?
The classes before, like the Bridge Around class, our robotics class,
Well,
that one, or which one you're talking?
CTE classes, is it a specialized teacher who does it? Or?
Yes, you have to have a CTE endorsement to teach. Like Joe Johnson that was here tonight, he has a business CTE endorsement.
Oh,
and so he can teach all the business classes that are offered through the state. So you have your family consumer science teachers, you have the technology and education teachers, you have all the different categories that they have to have specialized endorsement.
Do they get that through the university or through
Yes.
training? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you.
This is a real comprehensive safety, and you made the comment that if something came up in one of these areas, I just want to make sure I'm clear. You said that CTE funds could be used to take care of them?
Yes. Yes, because we have the funds, and we're obligated. If it's a safety issue in any of those classrooms, CTE funds will address it.
That's a really nice feature. I think most of these are covered in just our general safety that we have throughout the whole school. But just to know that if we identify it in a CTE classroom, we could use those funds to.
Yep.
Thanks for that, Mike. Anyone else have questions? All right.
Okay.
Thanks for putting all that together for us. We are now to board member reports. Anyone have a report? We were going to hear from Roger and Jeff about the USBA conference, right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, though, I'd like to thank Gary. A patron called me yesterday, and I sent her your way. And apparently you took care of Mrs. Parkinson's concerns for now. Just for now, though, right? Because her concern was that the boundary goes through the corner of her house. And so appreciate you taking care of her for now.
You got power to change boundaries, do you there, buddy?
Oh, that means you could... Or you could send one kid to one school and one kid to another school.
Yeah, she sent me a picture of the map and had the line going through her house. And okay.
That's funny.
Anyway, at the USBA conference, I sat in with our neighboring school district, Logan's, and they were very complimentary of Cache District for the things that we're doing. And they put themselves kind of like they're the donut hole and we're the donut. But they were very complimentary of what we do. And what they were talking about is a SWOT analysis practice. And I thought it was really good because they had several people in the district meet for a day meeting. SWOT, the S stands for strengths. They write down all their strengths. They had each person write a couple of them, and they put them on the board. The W for weaknesses, same thing. Then O for opportunities, and T for threats. And I just thought it was really interesting that they got people there, administrators, teachers, custodians, secretaries, and all the people sat down there one day and just wrote down their strengths, their weaknesses, the opportunities, and their threats, and then they made their plan, and that's the way they wrote their goals for the year. I just thought that was a good idea, if we use some of that to help us come up with some goals. The other thing I really liked, and it was probably great that we had the final speaker, was the Ironman Cowboy. I sometimes look at that as what we ask our teachers to do. And then this week we see some of the legislators wanting the teachers to put their syllabus and their whole year's lesson plans out there. This Ironman Cowboy, he put his life on hold and about killed himself. I don't know what would possess someone to do what he was doing, but what he put his body through, it just shows us that sometimes we ask ourselves and other people to do more than what they really should be doing, but they do it because they want to, and so I kind of look at that as what we're asking our teachers to do, and I hope we don't ask too much. We look at these plans that we approve, and it's getting to be quite a bit, and I don't think the state is ready to finish with us yet. The legislators are going one step at a time, so those are the things I took from it.
Thank you. Steve, are you ready with your presentation?
Oh, I was and I am, but I left my material, and I really would like to pass that out so that we can all be looking at it at the same time. It has to do with Alpine school districts, and I don't know who all went to their. Rob Smith is probably about as qualified person on Utah finance, and I just thought he put together a wonderful sheet that just shows in comparison how we spend our money and where it goes, and I would like to have everybody looking at it. And I apologize for that, but I'll do it next time.
Okay.
Terry, I actually wasn't here in the last meeting, but can I just make one comment
Please do.
about? I'm just wondering how many of you went to the data session. I know you did, and Roger. I don't know if you have any comments about that. I've actually worked with the state auditor before, John Dougal, because we initiated a project in my department, a student-led project up on campus with the auditor's office, because they have access to so much data. I obviously have some reservations about that data set, in terms of problems with correlation versus causation, for example. And I actually shared those with him, during the session that I was in. But I think there is some potential there. And so I just wanted to, I don't know if you discussed that session in particular during the last meeting, but what were your thoughts about it and how you think we might effectively use that resource? As an example, it might be possible because I'm actually seeking public funding to support our analytics center, and we've already connected with John Dougal and a couple of his lieutenants in the past to work on projects that use state data. But it might be possible for us to run, projects through my department that could offer insights into our local district specifically, if you think that would be fruitful. And so that's why I was wondering what your take was on, in that session yourself, and whether you think there are some things that we could perhaps collaborate with groups on campus, like students in my department in particular, to examine.
I did talk about that at the last meeting. I talked about a lot of data because that seemed to be the theme of most of the breakouts that I went to was data. And I told Tim about and he responded that he already knew about it, of course. The data tool, the Project Kids on the auditor's website. But it was really great for me personally because I happened to be at a school community council meeting at a high school where they were talking about data, and there's a vice principal who's very actively uses data, and I showed him the website and how to use that Project Kids tool and the information that he could get from it. And with the disclaimer that now this data is dependent on how each school district reports their data, because everybody reports just a little bit differently. And the auditor's office is just taking it from the State Board of Education data that's been turned in by individual districts. But he went to it and he started looking at ACT scores, for instance, with peer schools. And he did exactly what Auditor Dougal wanted it to be used for. Was he said, oh, look, this school is spending about the same amount of money per student as we are, but look, their scores are clear up here. What are they doing different? What can we learn from them? And in the session I was in, that's what Auditor Dougal talked about, was that just looking to see what you can learn from other schools and who you should try to learn from. So I did use it right after I came back, but haven't since then.
That's good. I mean, the point that I raised in the meeting in that session that I attended was, the biggest predictor of student success is economic and demographic status. I mean, that's just all there is to it. And John agreed wholeheartedly. He said that, the biggest predictor of student success in the United States is your zip code.
Yep.
And so, there are other, I think that the tool they're providing is wonderful, in terms of just in terms of transparency and just putting everything out there. But I worry about people over-interpreting some of those results, for that reason, that there are other layers here that need to be considered because, I guess the way I would put it is it's very hard to believe that any district would have, some secret sauce that would magically, lift students, to fill that kind of gap because, your home life and your socioeconomic status, those things matter ever so much more. But having said that, there may be explainable variation at the margins that is useful. But trying to tease that out is a job that's kind of beyond just the portals and the visualizations that they're providing. And I think I'm not saying it's not worth doing, it is, but I'm suggesting that maybe we could look at this in a more interesting way so that we can tease out those differences, so and not find out what you can take at face value from that portal and what you shouldn't take from face value, or what you shouldn't take at face value. Sorry.
We had quite a discussion, and I would certainly recommend that Tim and Gary and Mike and I sit down with you. And we've all been on the portal. We all know what it purports to do. But we have some reservations too, and we're not sure that it's a real friendly tool for use. But we would welcome your expertise on trying to tease out those areas that make sense for us to say, yeah, that is something that we could do better. From the minimum amount of time I spent on the site, we as a district and most of our schools do very well in what quadrant they're in, and for the dollars spent for what we do. And you talk about a secret sauce. We have had a secret sauce in this district for quite a while with the teaching of reading, and it's just plain and simple number of kids to the the adult. And when people ask how we've done it, and you tell them, they want a can of soup off the shelf that they can take home and open, and automatically it'll happen. And when we tell them what goes into what we do, it just boggles their mind, and they just kind of, well, however, there have been a couple school districts who have, and their results have been the same. So, yeah, we're interested in anybody that can tell us something that they're doing that would help us. And so I think that dialogue ought to happen between you and Tim and Gary and Mike and myself and anybody on the board who'd be interested in sitting in on that. I hope his motives are pure. I'm not questioning that, but there's just some areas that are difficult when you start comparing school to school and on dollar spent basis, because teacher salaries can skew that right from the get-go. And it looks like you're spending a whole lot of money in one school and not getting the results than another school because the salaries are low. And that's the key component in every classroom, is that teacher salary on per capita student expenditure. And so we've got some concerns, but we're certainly willing to talk. Tim, you want to add anything?
No, I tried to channel you in the last board meeting. Very similar sort of. I promise we didn't lose since then. But it was, you took it a step further, which is really intriguing to me, because they have gathered a lot of data, and it would be good if we could find some ways to pull out, analyze that data in ways. But I do worry that sometimes if it's just taken at face value, it's wrong.
Yeah, well.
Well, one of
let's
the
do
very
that.
obvious ones is that they include transportation in the cost per student, which is fine because it is a cost per student, but that doesn't speak to the instruction of the individual schools. That just says that it costs more to get those kids to the school. But they don't put that information anywhere, obviously, on any of their charts.
Not at all, which also impacts the, a district, which would not include cash, comparatively, but a district in an area where, just as an example, there are more single parents.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's the layer, those are the kinds of layers that are just completely missing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
I have just a question here. We was asked to come up with some names for building and bond committee. Just, is there any progress with that? Anything happening with that?
Okay.
Okay. Larry, how was your trip?
Cold. No, we had a good time. We brought down a few geese and saw many, many thousands.
Wow.
So
Great.
it was a good time.
All right. Anyone else have any board member reports? I think everyone now who went to USBA conference has reported. For my board president report, I just am grateful to all of you on the board for serving here, and grateful to all of you for staying in your jobs when they're so hard. This year especially. I got to spend 4 or 5 days last week doing nothing because I had COVID, and sort of had a brain fog, but at the time I was just thinking about everything that when I was removed from it, it really didn't matter. But if any of you were removed from something that long, it would really matter. And I'm so grateful for all of you and the work that you do. Thank you for being part of the board members and superintendent and Jared, and for our district leaders. The loads that you are carrying this year are really amazing. Like Roger said, thinking about the Iron Cowboy. And I didn't have that takeaway, so I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's very visual for me. Anyway, I'm so grateful to all of you. Thanks for all that you do. Appreciate it.
Likewise. For sure.
And I'll just continue on with that theme. Our teachers and our staff are wonderful in the fact that they are overworked, and it's a tough year. And I just want to thank you as a board that when we as staff come up with a recommendation that our teachers need a little relief, I can pretty much guarantee my staff that I work with on a daily basis that we will have no difficulty with our board supporting things that we do to encourage our teachers to catch their breath and give them a little opportunity to have some time. So this week when we made that call and notified you as a board that we were going to go that direction, we just want you to know how much we appreciate that you have trust in us to make those kind of hard decisions. Instructional time has always been a key to this district. We have been very careful to not infringe on teacher time in the classroom, because we know that's where everything happens in this district. And so when we tell you that we want to take a little bit of time away from the instruction part to give it to our teachers to have time to prepare and to take care of those kids who are out at a rate probably triple or 4 times what we normally have in absenteeism, to keep those kids caught up and have some kind of rational plan to take care of the kids in the regular classroom plus all those who are sick. We just thought that it was the best thing we could do was to do what we did last year. And we understand that it causes some concern for parents, but our after-school program for kids up to middle school can pretty much answer the concerns of a lot of parents, and we have a wonderful after-school program in all of our schools that are in the elementary and middle school, and we've never had that in our district before. And we put our funds from the federal government into making sure that our kids could stay caught up, and after-school program has been one of those avenues, and summer school will be another. So we ask our parents to be patient with us, to help us as the kids come home a little bit earlier, knowing that if their child gets sick, the teacher will have an hour and 15 minutes basically at the end of the day when they can do prep, get ready for the next day, try to contact and make connections with parents and students who are absent, and together we can get through this. But I just want you to know it's a joy to work in an area where trust is there, and parents send us kids ready to learn, and we take that trust very seriously, and want them to know that, yeah, we pulled the trigger for a little prep time for our teachers, but in the long run, I think it's going to help their children in the classrooms that they're in. So I just want you to know how much we appreciate you as a board for trusting us to make those kind of decisions.
So the news this morning said the month of February. Is that what our plan is?
No, we never set a time on ours, so.
It was misleading what the news said today
Okay, so
because it was.
I didn't catch that, but I know Alpine, when they first made theirs, they did set the end of February. We thought we would leave it open and just
What I
kind of
thought,
see, but we did let people know that we're going to monitor, and we don't want to keep going back and forth, but we're just going to use our best judgment to see when and if we take it off this year before the end of the year. So.
Clarification, I did say that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I've done interviews with every major media outlet in the state, and I think my first interview with the Herald Journal, they asked me about evaluating. I said the natural time to evaluate would be the end of February when we finish the trimester. I said it, it was out there, so, and we're always evaluating, but anyway.
They took it a step beyond.
That's how that timeline went out there.
Okay, I've heard him and watched the reports, but I didn't catch that one. So, yeah, we're going to be evaluating all the time, but we didn't set a hard date when it was going to end.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Seeing we are at the end of the agenda, we will adjourn. Thank you all for coming.